Welcome to Break, Pass and Continue lecture. So break, pass and continue are used in loop control. Break stops a loop at a certain point, pass prevents a code from being run at all, and continue runs a loop at a certain point. So let's say we start off with a very basic for loop of for num in range 40, and we'll do a nested if statement of if num is greater than, say, 10, and num is less than or equal to 20, print num. I'm just going to scroll down, and if we run this, we get the expected output of 11 to 20. So let's say, for instance, we put in a nested if statement. So if num is equal to 16, then we'll do pass. And as you can see, we have the exact same output. And what the pass is doing is simply ignoring this line of code here. When we run the cell, this particular if statement does not have any effect whatsoever. However, if we were to change this to break, what happens is that we're going to be left with 15 as the final output of our code, as you can see here, because this if statement is now taken into account when we run the code. And if we were to do continue, what's interesting is that it's going to output all the values from 10 till 20, but the 16 is not going to be output. So if we were to run this, as you can see, there's no 16. And if we were to do and num is equal to, let's say 19, and we run this, what's interesting is that we have the 16 and the 19 output. But if I were to change this to an OR operator, now we don't have the 16 or the 19 output at all. And if I were to change this to a break, then we should be at 15 for the outputs. And if I were to change this to AND, what's interesting is that this doesn't really break anymore. So as you can see here, we have all of the values output. And if I were to do pass, of course, then we have the exact same output with all the values from our range of 10 till 20. Okay, so I'm just going to show one more example here. Just scroll down here a moment. Let's say we do for word in compu with a capital A, computation, and then we'll do if word equal to capital A, print word, but we'll do, actually we'll move this aside here, so it's outside of the if statement, and we'll do pass for now. And as you can see, we have the output of the entire string, all of the elements from it, computation. But if I were to change this to break, then we're going to get compute, because of course when word is equal to A, then we have break, so it's no longer going to output the rest of the elements, which is going to be ation. And if I were to do continue, then like before the previous example with the number 16, you don't have the output of the capital A. And if I were to change this to, or rather add, and word equal to, let's say, P, then we have P and A. But if I change this to OR, then we no longer have the A and the P. And as you can see, there's no A and P here. And if I were to change this to pass, then we'll have the entire output of the computation, because this if statement no longer has any effect. Okay, so that concludes my lecture on break, pass, and continue. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A. Thanks.